But again, behaviorally palatable to me is a phrase I like to use. Can you do this without thinking this is obligatory? I'm in a monastery. I'm reducing my pleasure, or I only have a certain amount of time to live. Why don't I enjoy it? Well, I think I do consider that. I mean, I do, and I think this helps me enjoy what is enjoyable to me. And not everybody's going to buy this story. Not everybody's going to buy into this philosophy, okay, or science even. They're not going to do it because it's not worth it to them. And I got it. I understand that. That's fine. But you're right. When I got my doctorate in health, we studied public health also. And so we have a responsibility with regard to public health to disseminate good information, helpful information, okay? And also to point out some of the problems that are current and are ubiquitous, okay? And I'm in the airport today, right? And I can't help it. And I see people, and I don't see fat people. I see people that are sick. I see people, and I feel like saying, you're going to die from this, okay? And I obviously I don't do it, but that's what I feel. I feel like, is it worth it? I mean, can't you do something about it? I mean, maybe you can. Okay, I'm not making a judgment, but Jesus. I mean, I don't get it. But that's just me, and I know it's just me, and I know I'm a person in a smaller group than this bigger group, both physically and popular in a population sense.
Yeah, it's just what's changed.
Yeah.
I was traveling. This was in 2020, and it was our around the world trip. And I remember at one point being in, I think it was Singapore. No, not Singapore. Anyway, it was somewhere in the East. They had all of their. It was a fairly big airport that had like a large food court,
Mm-hmm.
and there were all these traditional Asian cuisines spread out through all these different restaurants. But there were two long lines to two different restaurants. You know where this story is going,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
One of them was McDonald's.
Of course.
The other was KFC. And I was watching it in that moment, and I had literally just gotten done doing an interview, because we're doing around the world trip where I'm picking up these interviews that we're going to be using for our documentary. I had just gotten done talking to a physician in a hospital who was kind enough to give us an interview. We needed a translator for that physician, and he was describing how diabetes is exploding there.
Yeah.
Right. And here I am. I'm in the food court afterwards, and I'm like, I can't help but feel sometimes. I know this is going to sound totally negative. I can't help but feel sometimes like the U.S. is kind of like the virus that's just kind of spreading.
Yeah.
It's and this isn't to say, this isn't to say that I'm not pro freedom. If you want to eat what you want to eat, and that's your thing, okay. What I have a problem with is that people get this kind of sense of helplessness, like there's just not a lot they can do about it. And like in the case of where I'm looking at that food court, I feel like if I'm family members of those people who are in the line, I'm going, or we could go over here.
Yeah.
It's not even whether it's low carb or not. A lot of these other cuisines are not necessarily low carb, but I guarantee they're healthier. How can I guarantee that? Because I've been living in the U.S. my whole life, and I've traveled outside the U.S., and I swear you could throw a dart out onto a globe, and whatever country you land on, odds are their ingredients, their foods that they make are probably better for you than what we make.
Yeah.
Standard American diet has the name it has for a good reason.
Yeah. No, I mean, and again, you don't want to be, in my case, an old curmudgeon and, boy, things are terrible now and the world's falling apart. I mean, that's generational too. The world's not falling apart any more than it was 100 years ago for those people who it was falling apart for then because of some other thing. Okay? That's generational. But, again, empirically, we know the data shows they were suffering from diseases which are behaviorally induced and behaviorally reversible, and if you're in the field and I'm in the field, I feel responsible that at least I give the best information that I have and make sure that I'm up on this stuff, that I know what I'm talking about, and also that I'm objective in saying it is your choice, but let me just recommend, that maybe you try this. It's not so bad, and again, the return for your time and effort and money is, I think, a great investment because you're the entity, you're the deposition of your investments. You are the most valuable investment that you have, and why not give it a shot? I mean, I don't know if there's a simpler way to put that.
There really isn't. I mean, there's. I get back to the habit aspect of it. You can build new habits. Trust in the momentum. It's the hardest in the first couple attempts.
Yeah.
And then it might still be hard years later, but not like it was in the first couple attempts.
But you get used to it being hard.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Right.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you a good example. I cannot eat fries again.
Yeah.
Ever. There are things that I can step off my diet and quote unquote cheat.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I could have pizza.
Yeah.
But I could have pizza and I could leave it and just leave it alone. Right. I try to make a low carb version of it. So, for example, if I'm ordering, I try to get like a cauliflower pizza if I'm stepping off my diet somewhat. So it's not too far off.
I got you.
But could I do that with fries? I can't because I treat fries like an alcoholic would treat alcoholism.
I hear you.
Right?
Yeah.
So the awareness that I have for the problem foods lead me to build the habit of they just don't exist
avoidance.
to me. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You could eat fries in front of me. They could look delicious. I am not going to have one single fry. It's just not. It can't happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that discipline, I feel like people don't believe they can take on. And that's part of where we got to come in. We've got to be able to say, you really can, though. You really can
that's what I
habits.
think is another offshoot byproduct of this exercise that we're talking about is the discipline. You will quickly learn that you can do things that you didn't consider that you could, and you can do them successfully and repeatedly. You learn discipline by doing this stuff. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
Okay. You have some skin in the game. Okay. When I first started in the business, people would ask me, this is the program we're doing. This is the exercise program. They would say, "What should we eat?" And I would say, "This is now in the 70s and 80s even." I said, "Just don't eat crap." Everybody knew what I was talking about. Right? That's all I had to give them. And they did it because they knew what I was talking about. But now they don't. They don't. You're telling me this smoothie with all this fruit and stuff like that in it and is crap? Yes, it is. And this banana, or this apple from the Garden of Eden, which got us, that's the first carb problem we had in history. But, I mean, this is, maybe for you it may not be. Okay, that's a problem. So that's the education. That's what's necessary to tell people, if you have a bad knee, then running down that mountain after the billy goat is probably not. For some other guy in Switzerland at the Matterhorn, great for him, and he yodels and he's healthy. For you, it's not good, okay? Don't do it. I mean, you have to get across this logic.
I always, the way I do it is I just start with, we're talking, aren't we? Like you're talking to me not because there isn't a problem.
Right.
You're talking to me because there is a problem.
Right.
There's a problem.
Right.
You're wanting me to give you a magic bullet.
Mm-hmm.
Something that, this was an easy thing I had never thought of before. But odds are you're talking to me because it's helpful to you, as it has been to many of my friends and family to this point, most of them, to just hear the tough news. And my tough news is it's half not your fault, it's half your fault.
Okay.
I think it's a combination. I think that there's, granted, some ends of the spectrum, some number of people for which there's genetic components,
mm-hmm.
there's environmental components, there's just no choice. There's another end of the spectrum where it's entirely choice. But I think in between, I do think the food environment is problematic. I think that we do have foods that are quite literally, as we just mentioned, designed
Yeah.
for you to want to eat. However, you can't just remove the concept of choice entirely.
Absolutely.
Even in building these new habits like we're describing, just like I'm talking about fries, I'm going to forever be tempted by crispy, delicious looking fries. It's always going to be there,
Yeah,
right?
okay, yeah.
It's just, I have built the habit such that it doesn't occur to me. I'm not even going to allow for that possibility. One of the things I learned from doing these experiments is here I am, I plan a span of time, let's say 3 weeks for an experiment. And I'm eating in a very restricted way that's related to the experiment. But I find that I can hold to the things I've determined I was going to eat much easier than if I had a diet where I'm trying to stay off those foods. Why? Well, for one, there's a fixed amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
That's always helpful, trial periods.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this to my family all the time. Give me 30 days. You could do anything for 30 days. Feel free to imagine how awesome it'll be on the 31st day for you to get off this. But let's do this for 30 days. I'll get your blood work on day 0, and then I'll get your blood work again at 30 days, and you can find out what happens. Treat it as an information-finding exercise, right?
Yeah.
But what's neat about when you're doing this is you get kind of extra, like almost bonus discipline because you know it's temporary. You feel like,
Yeah,
oh,
I can hold out.
Yeah, I can hold out a bit longer.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's really powerful to explore the possibility of not being connected to those problem foods. But I find also you discover for yourself that it was easier than you thought it would be. And that's what I was finding out from my experiments is, oh, I really am going to be able to stay off of XYZ
Yeah,
that I
because
thought
at that point you might have thought it was impossible.
Right.
There's no way I can do that.
Right.
That's impossible. I mean, I have in my book and in my work with people, I have what I call a 5-week metabolic makeover. You do the exercises. It's explained in my book, but this is what I do with people anyway. I do 5-week segments with my people, 10 sessions at a time, because 5 weeks is behaviorally palatable. You can stick with it. In the beginning, it's so productive that it's
reinforcing.
Yeah, self-perpetuating. Okay?
Yeah.
And so, but once you do that 5 weeks, you pretty much know you've changed your behavior. You can do it. You've seen the benefit. And so, but people, that's palatable. It's behavioral. I've had a 5-week metabolic makeover for 40-something years. Give me 5 weeks.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
And again, this gets back to and this is why we're chatting. We're chatting right now because you're seeking to have this solution. Get serious with us. Make this happen.
Yeah.
And I have some challenge cases in my family that I'm thankful for, things like the pills and the injections, because for them, there's just not.
It's the lesser of evils.
Yeah,
right.
I know that I couldn't talk them into a program like this. I couldn't talk them into a major nutrition change. They're just tough cases.
Yeah.
There's some that exist to which, if there's something that can help mitigate it, then I'm happy enough for that to be there. But I really do think they're more the exception than the rule. A lot of I've watched in real time a lot of my family get transformed by going lower carb. And to be fair, it's because they're already insulin resistant. It's because diabetes runs rampant in my family. And so a lot of my stock speech is, you might follow so-and-so on Instagram and they seem to be able to pound down carbs just fine. Something happens with many of us, and has happened with much of the world, where we become insulin resistant.
Yeah.
And at that point, now you should have to care about the thing that insulin manages predominantly, being glucose.
Yeah.
Therefore, to some degree, you may want to consider bringing down carbohydrates.
Yeah.
There's one of my favorite lines from Ben Bickman is, who I guess lifted it from somebody else, or at least Gary Taubes mentioned this, is any weight loss diet is a low insulin diet. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you could get, without going low carb, you could say restrict calories, do the Weight Watchers route or something like that. But there's just no getting around it. If you've got high insulin in the morning, it's going to keep you from losing weight because that's literally its job, is to keep
Yeah.
the weight on.